In this video, we will cover trauma after war in the world. War is not only destruction by fire and steel. Its deepest impact lies in what it leaves behind, in the minds, hearts, and lives of those who survive. For while the bombs may stop falling, the war often continues, inside the people it touched. In the aftermath of battle, silence becomes a constant companion. The soldier who once walked boldly into danger now wakes in cold sweat, haunted by the faces of those he could not save, or those he was ordered to destroy. His uniform is gone, but the wall remains stitched into his memory. Crowds feel overwhelming, loud noises trigger panic, and joy feels like a distant country he no longer belongs to. He is no longer in combat, yet never truly at peace. But trauma is not confined to soldiers. In every village bombed, every city occupied, every family shattered, civilians to bear invisible scars. In Vietnam, generations still live with the legacy of napalm and loss. In Rwanda, survivors of genocide carry their stories in silence, often afraid to speak. In Syria and Gaza, children grow up beneath the shadows of drones and sirens, their play shaped by the sounds of fear. War, in its cruelest form, teaches children to stop crying. It teaches families to live with emptiness, the empty chair at the table, the missing voice in a song, the neighborhood that no longer exists. Trauma becomes part of the culture, inherited like a story, passed down like a wound that won't heal. Psychologists call it PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, but those who live it know it by other names: guilt, fear, silence, rage. Some survivors numb themselves, others break, and some build, slowly, painfully. They rebuild homes, relationships, and trust. Healing after war is not a straight path. In Bosnia, reconciliation efforts continue decades later. In South Sudan, trauma counselors sit in circles under trees, listening to survivors speak. In Ukraine, art and music have become tools of therapy. Around the world, healing takes many forms: therapy, truth commissions, storytelling, forgiveness. But no healing can truly erase what war has done. The trauma of war reshapes people. It changes how they see the world, how they love, how they dream. It is not weakness. It is a human response to horror, too great to carry alone. And yet, in that pain lies the seed of something greater: resilience, the strength to remember and still move forward, the courage to live despite what was lost, the determination to choose peace, even after witnessing the worst of humanity. Because while war shows how deeply people can be broken, healing shows how bravely they can rise. We can remember the story of trauma in Rwanda, Syria, today in Gaza. In Rwanda, trauma took many forms. Some were children who watched their parents die and had to grow up with no one left to call family. Others were women who had been raped, infected with HIV, all left to bear children born of violence. Many walked the streets like ghosts, carrying memories too heavy for words. Whole communities were shattered, trust vanished. How does one rebuild a life when the person who killed your family lives just down the road? How do you forgive when justice feels like a distant dream? The trauma seeped into every part of Rwandan life, into the classrooms, where orphaned children sat in silence, into the fields, where survivors avoided paths where bodies once lay, into the hearts of a generation born after the genocide, but raised in its long shadow. Yet, Rwanda did not vanish. From the ashes, a nation struggled to heal. Grassroots, justice systems, Gakaka courts emerged, reconciliation programs were launched, memorials were built to remember the dead and warn the living. The trauma remains, but so too does a fragile hope. Today, Rwanda stands not only as a reminder of how far humanity can fall, but also how, through courage, truth, and memory, it is possible to rise again. Trauma in Syria. Trauma they live in the minds of its people. For every bomb that fell, a child's sense of safety vanished. For every life taken, 1,000 dreams died silently. Survivors carry invisible wounds, nightmares, anxiety, and the constant fear that peace is only temporary. Children born in war zones speak with silence. Families torn apart by death or displacement struggle to feel whole again. Trust is rare. Joy feels distant across refugee camps and shattered cities. Trauma has become a way of life, passed from one generation to the next. The world counts numbers. Syrians count memories they wish they could forget. Trauma in Gaza. In Gaza, war is not a moment. It is a cycle. Sirens, airstrikes, and shattered buildings return like seasons. But the deepest damage is not to concrete. It is to the soul. Children wake to the sound of drones, sleep under skies that never promise peace. Some have lost parents before learning to speak. Others carry memories no child should have. Siblings buried beneath rubble. Schools turned into shelters. Laughter replaced by silence. The trauma is generational. It clings to mothers who can't protect, fathers who can't provide, and youth who grow up knowing only blockade and fear. The war ends on paper, but not in their minds. In Gaza, the war lives on, in memory, in grief, in the unseen wounds that never stop bleeding. Trauma in soldiers. He returns home, but not the same man who left. His uniform is folded. His wounds are hidden, but in his mind, the war never ended. He hears echoes of gunfire in quiet rooms. Dreams turn into battlegrounds. Laughter feels foreign. Crowds feel dangerous. Guilt weighs heavier than his gear ever did. Guilt for surviving, for choices made, for brothers lost. He walks among family, yet feels alone. The war is over for the world, but inside him, it still rages. This is the soldier's unseen battle, the trauma no medal can heal. Peace is more than the absence of war. It's the quiet where children can dream, the space where hope can grow. In its presence, nations heal, families rebuild, and futures are born. Where peace lives, education thrives, voices rise, and hearts begin to trust again. It is the soil where justice takes root and the light that guides humanity forward. Without it, even victory feels hollow. With it, even small nations become strong. Peace is not just important, it is everything.